All right, so I take a bag of cranberries. This one happens to be 24 ounces. Otherwise, you use two of the smaller bags. Oh, my cape came loose. Okay, so I wind up dumping those inside of here. For the most part, what we're going to do is put them inside of a regular pot. But I like to wash them off first. They say they're already clean, but you never know what clean means to somebody and clean means to you. So just a quick rinse makes it quick and easy, you know. And drain it. So there you go, quick rinse. Take them and I'll throw them inside of my pot, which is a, I don't know what size it is, 4-quart. So 4-quart fills it up about halfway. So then I take date paste. In this particular case, it's not organic. It's 13 ounces of date paste. And I use half of it. So that's about 6.5 ounces. Okay. And then I put apples in with it. I was going to cut these apples up ahead of time, but I didn't. So I'm going to show you what I do in order to cut my apples. If you see this here, this is one of the easiest ways. Some people use an apple core. I don't. I just cut out the little, see, that's my seed right there. I cut out the seeds and put a little V-notch inside of there. And I'll put in 2 apples in this particular one. And what I've, instead of cutting it into little bits, I use a chopper, which I'm sure a lot of you guys already have. It's going to make it, it's going to make them all precisely the same size. And I'll show you what I mean in just a second. I wish I would have done this ahead of time. But anyway, you see how quick and easy that is? It takes out the hard portion of the core in most cases. Okay? So then I use this little chopper. It's got the blades inside of there, which are all the same size. You see that? I'll put a bowl underneath it. And I'll take those and I'll just chop them right in. Makes life a little easier, and they're all the same size. And 2 apples is probably quite a bit, but I cut back a little bit on the dates because apples are better. So I dump them in. That's 2 apples. Then I take water, and in this case, it is 3 cups. So I bring it up just about even with, can you see that? So it's just about even with the top of the fruit and the dates. Then I put it on the stove and I simmer it. So I'm going to do that. And while it's simmering, we'll make the delicata. So to begin with, I'll just put it on high and then I'll lower it down. Okay. So next thing is the delicata. We wash the delicata first, which I've already done. Okay. So I picked the ones that seemed like they would have the largest vessel. See this? So because they're going to be stuffed, I wanted the largest vessel, and I wanted them about the same size so that they would all cook the same way. I did the same thing with the butternut squash, but butternut squash, a lot of times I will cook these inside of the Instapot. It's not necessary, but the Instapot, just like the sweet potatoes, makes it, excuse me, so soft that it's almost like a pudding. That's the way I like it. So that's what I normally do. So let's go to my knife. This is not it. Okay, we're going to cut these. So some people have a hard time cutting them. I try to find it a flat spot, so it doesn't roll on you. And then I try to find the seam. The delicata has a very thin skin. So these are a lot easier to cut than most. The acorn squashes, they're a lot thicker. But normally it's this nub right here that gives you the hard time. Right? Okay, so the delicatas are like that. I take a spoon and I just scoop out the innards. Can you see that still? Okay, let me move this over a little bit. So you just take that and you find the inside. Can you see that, how I just did that? Get the seeds out. You don't need to go and take out any more if you don't want to. Because this is the flesh that you'll be eating. But with the delicata, and these are organic, the skin is so thin, it's paper thin, that you can just eat the skin and everything. Some people don't. I do. And because it's organic, it doesn't have a lot of the traditional pesticides that would be on it even after washing. So I wash these down with vinegar and water anyway. Because you just never know what they've been through. I mean, you look at carrots, even though I buy organic carrots, things happen in those fields sometimes that, who knows? There was just a recall that I saw on a bunch of organic carrots. So it's pretty easy, and it makes a nice vessel. So what we're going to stuff these with are vegetables mainly. I don't use too many grains, though I do periodically. But in this particular case, we're not going to stuff it with grains. We're going to stuff it with a mixture of potatoes, which will be sweet potatoes, cauliflower, sweet potatoes, cauliflower, California blend vegetables, and a mixture of a sauce that we're going to make inside of the Vitamix. So I'm going to put these off to the side, and I'm going to lower the heat on my sauce now.
I just want to let everybody know that as far as the recall for the organic carrots, I have that on my website, so you can search that. And if you want me to, I can send you a link.
So I'm gonna set this for 15 minutes. Because it's just starting to boil at this point. So I put it on simmer. That lowers it down quite a bit. And then what I do is later I squash them a little bit and break them up. Okay, so I'm also going to make zucchini boats out of the mixture, but we'll do that in a little bit. So my next thing is what we're going to do. Okay, let's do the Vitamix. We'll make the sauces. The sauces is fairly easy to do. Can I see the other? Yeah, okay. There we go. That's where I need it. Okay, I don't need it right this second. Okay, so I make a lot of my bases almost with the same ingredients all the time. They deviate quite a bit, but they're all basically the same base. So I use walnuts as the base. Most people use cashews. I used to use walnuts, Brazil nuts, macadamia nuts, and a mixture of all. Now it's basically walnuts. Okay, so I would say that's about a cup of walnuts. In some cases, I use raisins and or dates. In this case, I'm going to use a little bit of both because that's what I have available. So that's about a half a cup of raisins. Hemp seed, that's about a half a cup of hemp seed. I'm going to put in a little nutritional yeast. You don't need to use nutritional yeast. I find it gives it a little bit of a cheesy flavor. I would say that's about 3 tablespoons. Now, you can make as much sauce or as little sauce as you want. It's all up to you. And then I use this thing called sumac. It gives it a salty, but it's more lemony, kind of peppery taste. And I would say that's about, I don't know, a tablespoon or so. I like basil, so I tossed in a little basil. That was probably about a tablespoon. And garlic. You can use fresh garlic or you can use powdered garlic. I use them both, but in this particular one, I'm just using the. And this is onion powder. I've been using sage a lot lately. I'm not exactly sure, but somebody told me I should. So that's about a teaspoon. This is what you call table tasty. So that's a heaping. Probably two tablespoons. And I love this stuff called Chili 9000. It gives it a little bit of a bump of heat. That's about a tablespoon. Okay. The other thing is you want to make it sweet. So I use about a tablespoon and a half. You taste it. It deviates. And mustard. Whoops. I got it all over me. Because I had it upside down. I was trying to get it to drain. Amy's got this really great hack. You should see it. And this is probably 3 tablespoons. And I got a bunch on my hand. So hold on a sec. Let me wash that off. Normally I would just lick it off, but I don't think the people will appreciate that.
But this is a recipe demo.
The other thing is apple cider vinegar. Okay. So about a quarter cup of apple cider vinegar. Now everything's going to change with your tastes and things like that. The other thing that I wanted to do, it's probably going to need a little bit more dates, guys, because I just use raisins. But we're going to start off with this. We're going to taste it. And the beauty of cooking like this is you can taste it. You won't get sick. When you're using eggs, when you're using meats and things of that nature, you can't taste while you go. So this is my thing. Now I'm gonna put on my ear protection, and then we're gonna go to town.
Okay, so I'm muting Rick's mic so that this way you don't have if in case you're wearing earbuds or something, you won't have that.
You still hear me?
Yeah, now I unmuted you.
Okay, I forgot the water, so I'm gonna put in a cup of water to start off with. Very quick.
So tell us in the comments, Green Warrior, where are you viewing from today? I would love to know. Are you traveling? Are you home? And tell us what your plans are, if you have any plans for Thanksgiving. Our plans are to be with some family, and we may have some friends join us as well. We might have 2 Thanksgivings. So just depending on people's travel plans. And tell me in the comments what kind of recipes that you make or enjoy now that you're plant-based, if you are plant-based.
That's pretty good just the way it is. I'm not going to use any more dates. Some people use a spoon. I use my finger. Sorry. It's really good. So it has a nice flavor just the way that it is. The apple cider vinegar gives it a little bit of a tanginess, where the raisins give it that sweetness. And of course, the walnuts gives it the thickness. You can see how thick that is. So at this point, I'm not sure if I need this anymore. I'm going to put it off to the side. And I'm going to mix my pot again.
And the recipes will be in the description and also on my website for those of you that want to have all the measurements and directions.
Okay.
So
Now we get.
Chris is viewing from Long Island, New York.
Hey, what part?
Yeah, tell us what part of Long Island. We know people in Long Island, Chris. And Chris is trying to decide what to bring to my brother-in-law's house. They're not plant-based. Well, I think
that doesn't make them bad people.
No, it doesn't make them bad people. It just makes them not knowing yet.
All they need to do is be educated.
Yeah, say they're not plant-based yet.
That's correct, as of yet. So I buy two different styles, and it depends on what's available to me as far as the California blend goes. This is from Whole Foods. So you got Whole Foods, California style blend. And then when I'm in Walmart, a lot of times they don't have this. It's California blend. I find that the Walmart one, for some reason, has more stems in it than florets. See, here's some broccoli florets, and this one has a nice mixture of the two. You know, but these are all frozen. Now you can do fresh. Totally up to you. I'm going to be stuffing these anyway. So I have mushrooms that I'm going to be putting inside.
Chris said that he's from Kings Park, town of Smithtown in Long Island.
What town?
Kings Park, town of Smithtown.
Okay. That is, I think, on the my daughter, my sister, she lived in Babylon, North Babylon.
North Babylon.
Which is, I think, on the other side of the island.
Yeah.
Than from what he's on. Anyway, so we're going to put some mushrooms in there as well. And normally I have fresh, but in this particular case, I'm doing everything a dump style. Okay? So everything is frozen. So these are mixed mushrooms. I got them from Whole Foods as well. It's a mixture of shiitake, you know, and button and a whole bunch of other little things. It's supposed to be good for you. Sometimes these get a little chewy, the shiitakes. That could be, it depends on the people that are eating it. Amy says we should have mushrooms in everything. And I have some kale. I'm going to keep that in the freezer. This is going to be way too much for just stuffing these. But because you want extra, you can make like a chicken pot pie. This is a mushroom onion pepper blend. I'm just going to use half a bag because I'm thinking if I have time, I'm going to make a walnut and mushroom pate, which it emulates a liver pate that you would have with hors d'oeuvres. Anyway, so look at this. I mean, it's too big, too much at this particular time. Probably shouldn't have used this much, but this is where I'm at. Okay, so it's got lots of colors. It's got lots of things happening. So now I take
the style of cooking that you do, Rick, is sometimes you make too much sauce, too much vegetables, but that doesn't mean that they're not going to get used.
I always make too much because I can freeze these or I make them into several different meals, which is how I stumbled upon this particular recipe, to be honest. Because the delicata squash that I had a mixture of other stuff, and I was like, you know, I'm going to stuff those squash with this. I'm going to add this. I'm going to add that. And it turned out so good. it wasn't a recipe. So this is actually the first time I'm making it intentionally to fill the void inside of the squash. You know. Anyway, you can take it for what it's worth. You can eat it just like this too, but I am going to take a good portion of this mixture now and put it in here, and we're going to mix it all up. Okay, we're going to try and coat all these vegetables in this mixture. A lot of times I use the fresh, and like I said, I didn't this particular time. The ones that are frozen are usually flash cooked a little bit, or they're like not flash cooked, but they're flash frozen, but they're cooked a little bit prior to being frozen, steamed or something. I'm not absolutely positive, but that's what I read somewhere, that's what's done. So we're going to coat all of these, with this particular mixture. I hear the cranberries starting to pop. I'm not sure if those are the cranberries actually popping, or if that's the sauce just bubbling up popping, or a combination of the both. But you see how these are coated at this time? You could add more, you could add, you can't take away. So it's better off to put in a little and then add as you want. And sometimes this stuff is overpowering to some people. We don't want it to be overpowering. We just want it to be a compliment to the dish. You know what I mean? Okay, let me stir this real quick and lower it down.
So WJ says having 2 Thanksgivings a week apart, Southwest Missouri Ozarks. So far, ideas include sweet potatoes, cranberry apple salad. That sounds good. And open to new whole food plant-based ideas. So that's Lake of the Ozarks, right?
Let me show you this real quick. This is the cranberries inside of the mixture, and I probably put a little bit too much water inside of there, but I think it'll all come together. You see that? They're starting to fall apart, so they're probably ready to be mashed. Now you can put cinnamon inside of this, and a lot of people do. I have cinnamon. Some people like cinnamon, some people don't. You could add the cinnamon later if you want to. So we'll mash this in just a little bit. Right now, we'll put it back on and let it simmer some more. Okay, now, the easiest way to defrost this is put it in a microwave. So that's what I'm going to do. And the easiest way to cook. I had originally going to use fresh cauliflower, but I figured I would go this way. Things were a little hectic. Okay, 5 more minutes. So I'm going to put this in the microwave at this time, and that'll defrost and also cook these, and then we'll wind up stuffing the squash.
So Rick, WJ said having 2 Thanksgivings a week apart, Southwest Missouri Ozarks. So far, ideas include sweet potatoes, cranberry apple salad, and open to new whole food plant-based ideas.
Okay.
That sounds good.
Yes, it does. We used to live in Missouri. I don't know if you guys knew that. We lived in Missouri, the Kansas City side, up what they called north of the river, which grew. Back then, there was a bunch of cows all along the roads, and then there weren't.
and we often went to Lake of the Ozarks.
Oh yeah, had a lot of friends down at Lake of the Ozarks. Beautiful. It was very nice. Went water skiing, boating, fishing. They got the dam there where everybody jumps from boat to boat. It's a big party place. Fun. Okay, so at this point, I have that stuff. It's defrosting. I'm going to go and we're going to start on the potatoes. So you have an idea. I know I'm bouncing around, but because this is cooking and that's cooking, Now you could do the same thing with the butternut squash. So why don't I do that, and we'll cut this open. I have washed everything already. The butternut squash is normally a little harder to cut, but it's got a thin skin as well. I don't eat the skin myself, but I know people that do.
And I've seen that some people who have difficulty cutting the butternut squash, sometimes what we can do with that is bake it beforehand,
Yes.
right? So that it's soft. Is that right, Rick?
You could take this whole thing, you don't even have to cut it. And if you have an Instapot, which is the easiest way to do it, you just put it inside of an Instapot. You put a little bit of water on the bottom, and you use that cage. And I'll show you the cage in just a moment. So what I do is I scoop out the inside. Now, I would put this in an Instapot, and then I would scoop out the rest of it, and I would throw that mixture in with the mixture that I'm going to stuff with. So this here is the sweet potato. I mean the butternut. I'm looking for my things. Okay, here we go. Alrighty. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to pull out my potatoes, which we're going to make into eggs. Whoop! And a couple of sweet potatoes that we're going to use for the filling of the stuffing.
Mona lived in Kansas City, Missouri years ago, too.
Is that right?
Yeah. The
You know,
small
one of the
big
things
world.
I'm going to say, one of the things I forgot to put in here, and it didn't seem to make much of a difference this time on the taste. We make a walnut vinaigrette dressing that we eat with our salads every day. It's got raisins, walnuts, garlic, mustard, balsamic vinegar, I think, and water. And it's a delicious dressing,
And
actually.
sometime, well, you
Oh,
made a recipe demo of that the last time you were on. So if you want to watch the previous time that Rick was on, you can see that when he did a recipe demo, and he makes a whole Vitamix full of that, and then we have these bottles that a friend of ours gave us because she used to drink kombucha, so she cleaned out the bottles and gave them to us. Hi, Joanne, if you're watching. And so we use them for our dressing bottles, and it lasts about a week after you make it, right, Rick?
oh, it doesn't even last a week because we go through the 4 bottles. We eat a giant salad every day. But it will last. It will last a week. Absolutely, probably last longer. But in our house, I make 4 bottles of this. And I mean, if you can see the refrigerator, I have 2 of them left right now in here. So we go through 4 bottles, and I make it every week. We go through a lot of walnuts. We go through a lot of mushrooms. We go through a lot of tomatoes, mustard, garlic, and inside of this, we also put turmeric and ginger. Um, Amy says that I need well, for inflammation purposes, it's important to use foods that fight inflammation, fight arthritis, you know? And ginger and turmeric are 2 of those spices.
Yeah, and what we learned is that people think that if they just have it once a day in their recipe that they're good to go, but it dissipates after a while in your body. So if you are fighting inflammation, if you have painful arthritis, things like that, if you try to put that ginger and turmeric in your meals, every meal, which the dressing
Every
helps
couple of
to
hours
do
if you
that.
can.
Yeah,
Same
right.
thing with greens, you know, to help with your arteries and keep them clear. You want to put greens in your body throughout the day. When you talk to Dr. Esselstyn or listen to Dr. Esselstyn, he talks about your arterial walls and the excuse me, I got a tickle in my throat. Amy,
And the nitric oxide. So yes, so the
for the
chewing the greens make nitric oxide, which help heal the endothelial cells, which is a lining, it's a life jacket of your arteries, and it really protects you and it gets destroyed when you're not eating healthy foods. So for most of us, we haven't been eating very healthy all of our lives, so we really need to do as much as we can to make up for that fact, and just bathe your body insides with leafy greens,
And you want
breakfast,
to do
lunch,
and you want
and
to do that several times a day, every couple of hours, because it pumps through your system and gets pushed out through your kidneys, and it helps clear and clean and fertilize, your healthy body, and it pushes out the bad stuff. Same thing with beans and
and
mushrooms.
Boomer Beyond Wellness is on. Hello from Lauderdale Lakes, Florida. Yep,
Hello.
we're not the only ones that are warm, although we are getting a cold front.
Oh, Sarah's coming to see us. Well, or at least what was supposed to be Sarah. Anyway, so when you get the potatoes, you try and pick out the ones that would be the size of eggs, which is what I've just done here. And then you scoop out the inside. I lost my spoon for some reason, so I'll have to find another one. Okay. So when you have it just like this, you just scoop out kind of like you would. You see, makes a little hole in there. So then I take that and I throw it inside of a bowl, and I continue doing that with all of them. So you cut the potato in half, and then you scoop out the inner by making a hole inside of there, because that's where the egg yolk would have traditionally been. So you're creating that pocket that the egg yolk would have been in. See what I'm saying? It's a little tedious, but in a way it's kind of fun. It's crafty if in fact you're into that type of stuff. Apparently I am. I didn't know it, but I enjoy cooking, and I enjoy eating. And so like Amy told you, I was 100 at this point, 120 pounds heavier than I am today, and it affected my health tremendously. To be quite honest, I'm probably I'm surprised. I'm surprised that I'm feeling as well as I do, and I'm still alive, because I didn't think that I was going to be. Anyway, so this is the premise behind it. So then when you get all of the eggs cut up, which takes a little while, I don't know if we have enough time to do all of them, but I wanted to give you an idea of how you stuff them. Okay, so I take that. I just wanted a few more, so, and I use the potato stuffing as well as this mixture that I did. Now, this mixture I use to stuff the potatoes. That mixture I use to make tuna fish. That mixture I make buffalo wings. I coat broccoli and bake broccoli with them. It's this mixture right here. So sometimes I deviate. Sometimes I'll add some salsa to it. Other times I'll add more mustard. It all depends on the flavor profile, but it's all based off of this same recipe. I do so much with it. So what I do is I take these potatoes. Let me get these off to the side. Okay, I'm going to do a favor. I'm going to stop this for right now, and I'm going to show you what's going on with the cranberries. Can you see the cranberries? And let me move this in a little bit further. Okay, so the cranberries have all pretty much popped open. So you got apples and cranberries. Some people put raisins in with this too. Okay, they like it really sweet. And again, cinnamon. So I take this and I'll mash the apples and the cranberries together. Don't be very careful because it's hot and it will burn you. But the reason I'm doing this is because this masher was going to be the same masher that I'm using for the other ones, and I figured let's get this done. And you can see how thick it's gotten. Well, hopefully you can see how thick it's gotten.
Maybe you can hold it up to the camera so we can see a closer view.
I will. I just want to, okay, here we go. So once this thing goes in the refrigerator, it will thicken up tremendously. And because of the dates and the apples inside of here, you can already see that it's pretty thick. This stuff will be like Jello. It'll be not quite like Jello, but it'll be very gelatinous at this point. So what I'm
Thanks
going to
said
do,
beautiful.
I'm going to put it inside of here so you get an idea of the look of it.
Thanks said that it looks beautiful.
It's going to taste great too. That's the really nice thing about it.
Hey, Green Warriors, do you like cranberry sauce relish? Did you used to eat it out of the can when you were younger?
So there you go. This is
Let me know in the comments.
this will be my cranberry sauce for, and it freezes really, really good. This stuff freezes great. So you can make this and then open it up, freeze it, and then around Christmas time, eat it. What I normally do is I'll take this, leave it in the refrigerator for a day or two, then I'll freeze it. And then when come Thanksgiving or Christmas or whatever, I mean, normally I just make it. I thought today was the day before Thanksgiving.
No, you
It's
thought
the
you were
week.
scheduled the day before
Yeah,
Thanksgiving.
that's right.
You knew what
That's
today was,
the correction.
but
Yeah, I
when
knew
I
what
told
today
you
was.
that you were coming up and you said, "Didn't you have me scheduled the day before Thanksgiving?" And I said, "No."
I thought I was scheduled the
This
day
is what
before
he would be
Thanksgiving.
doing the day before Thanksgiving, right? Or the day of
Normally I
Thanksgiving.
would make this the day before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So anyway, so
So
even though I
I
didn't
left
clean this off, you get an idea. Okay. So I mash these potatoes up a little bit. And then I take sweet potato, because the sweet potato is kind of orangey and it gives it that yolky look. And it's sweet and it tastes really good. Right? Um, I'll just leave it at that for now because normally there's a whole lot more potato in there. So it's kind of a 50-50 mixture of potato and sweet potato. Then I'll take this stuff and I'll throw a scoop of that inside of there. And I'll mix these all together. Okay? So that gives it the mashed texture, and it has a nice flavor. And you can add more things into it, but a lot of times you don't need to. Because the way that this is, it's you can see what I'm doing, right? Okay. So the spoon is mashing it. And I usually have a bowl that's, pretty full of this stuff. But this gives you the idea for quickness and for time consuming. And I'll just eat these for dinner. So I take that and I take another spoon. Check this out. So then I take these little eggs and I'll just fill them up. Okay. So this is my stuffed egg. Sometimes they look prettier. Most of the time I don't really care because after you sprinkle them with the paprika, I don't know if you guys ever ate the eggs. They stuff them and then they stuff them back with the egg yolk and a little bit of whatever mayonnaise. I think they stick inside there. This one has a little piece of broccoli in there. Ain't that nice? Either that or
yeah,
it's a pepper.
Can
Or it's a,
you bring one up to the camera
yes,
as
I
you're
can.
filling it up?
Here we go. How's that? That better? Oh, there we
Yeah.
go. All right. So I'm gonna
Yeah,
put it on I'm gonna put it on a little plate real quick, so you can see what's happening.
this is something that you could do with family members. Sometimes when we have family come over and we're in the kitchen, Rick will say, "Hey, you want to stuff the potatoes or something?" And it's a fun thing. And then people get to learn what it takes to make these recipes, which really isn't much, especially the way Rick does it, because he's kind of using things from one recipe and putting it in another. So you really kind of
Go
Did you
ahead.
want to say something? Go ahead.
No, I wanted to say, normally before I cut the potatoes, and you could do it after, it doesn't matter. Why don't we just do it after? Because this is the way these are. Um, the skin is still kind of moist. So I lay them down like this on a plate or the area that I'm going to be putting them on. And I have this mixture that I use, which I make chips with. And what it is it's a table tasty, it's garlic, it's onions, it's hemp seed, it's a bunch of things. So it creates a salt type of thing. And I'll coat the outside of it because it gives it a salty flavor. So when you pick it up and you stick that in your mouth, it already has the wow, taste of the salt that most people like. It's not necessary, but it helps. I found out that it helps tremendously as far as for normal people. I say normal, like we're abnormal.
No, we're regular.
Anyway, for the people who eat the sad diet, okay?
And WJ said, really like that not stuffed egg idea. And it's really delicious. So if you're having a gathering, whether it's Thanksgiving or just any kind of gathering, these are great appetizers.
Yes, they are.
Or they can be a part of the main meal too. So we'll have them as appetizers. And if there is any left over, then we're putting that on the table with our main meal.
Is that you saying that or him or her?
Well,
Amy?
WJ said, really like that not stuffed egg idea. And then I started
Oh,
talking.
you okay. Yeah,
I was
you okay.
commenting, throwing in my
Yeah.
opinions.
I yes, I thought that's what they were saying. Because that's exactly what we do. In fact, that's what we'll do for tonight. Normally, anyway, so here's my stuffed eggs. I mean, you can make them look prettier if you want. You can use that little ice cream scooper. You know those ice cream scoopers that make the cute little round thing. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? No,
The ice cream scoopers. Yeah.
I can't
The
hear anybody. Anyway,
spring-loaded ice cream scooper.
yeah, you could
They
use
come
them
in
to
different
use it,
sizes.
but it gets really messy either way. So I just go like this, you know. And sometimes you just got to use your finger to stuff them in and shape them properly, which is fine. As long as your hands are clean or you're the only one eating them, it doesn't make a difference, right? Okay, so then I take smoked paprika, right? This one happens to be from Trader Joe's, and we just sprinkle over the tops. You know the way the old deviled eggs used to be, the way your mom or your grandma used to make or whatever. Anyway, and if you have one of those little egg holders, you can stick them inside there. I think I have one somewhere, and you transport them. But these are absolutely delicious, just the way they are. Do you see them? Okay, I'm going to show somebody eating it. I'll go. What?
See, I don't
I'll
even
put
get
these up.
any right now, Green Warriors, but it looks good. But I'll get to have some later, and I hope you guys make that recipe too, because it any time of the year it's great.
So now you got the cranberry sauce and that. Now, I forgot to tell you, normally with this particular one, I will add more mustard because it gives it a little bit more of a color, as well as the mustard gives it more of a salty taste. Now, I'm using Gulden's. Mustard is a tricky thing because mustard has salt in it. This one here has, for a teaspoon, it has 60, I believe, 50 milligrams of sodium inside of a teaspoon. And I'm going to say I probably use, inside of this mixture, this whole mixture, we used about 3 tablespoons. So when you turn around and look at that, 2 tablespoons to 2 teaspoons to a tablespoon, I think. So that's 300 milligrams of sodium that went into this alone, and I would squirt into this a little bit too. But I mean, that's for everything. So I'm using this for for the potato squash. I'm using that for the eggs. I'm going to use it for tuna fish or whatever it is that we're making. So it's kind of still low, but it is there. Now you can buy the mustard that has no salt in it. And I think that it's organic. This is not organic,
Yeah,
but
it's a Westbury brand. It's really expensive,
very
but
expensive.
but
And it's hard to find.
yeah,
I mean,
we
yeah, I
don't go
can,
over.
but I go through so much mustard. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Amy, go ahead.
Oh, well, I'm just going to say that we follow Dr. Joel Furman's recommendations, which is not to exceed over 400 milligrams of added sodium. So whenever you see sodium on the label, some of that is occurring naturally. Like if you would have no salt tomato sauce, you would still see sodium in the nutrition facts. So there is some naturally occurring sodium. So as long as we don't exceed that added 400 milligrams of sodium, then we feel good. And Rick, as you could see with his before picture, I mean, he lost over 100 pounds. He used to have really high blood pressure and he was on medication. Now he's off the medication and his blood pressure is way below what the doctors would ever be concerned about, and he's not even medicated. It's way below whatever he could get it at with medication. So I believe that following Dr. Furman's added sodium recommendations is working for us.
Oh, it's working for me. I'm off all my meds. When I was on blood pressure, cholesterol, a couple of different blood pressure things. I'm not sure what they were, but I've been off them for many, 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 many years. And when I go into Walmart, I used to take my blood pressure 3 times a day. I don't hardly ever take my blood pressure now. But when I go into the Walmarts and the shopping centers that have the blood pressure cup machine that you sit at, I'm like 105 over 70 or something like that. Anyway, so here you go. This was put inside of the microwave for 6 minutes, and now these things are all soft. They're not hot because they were frozen, but if they were fresh, 5 minutes would have been more than enough to soften them up. And that's my goal, was to soften them up, not necessarily cook them, because we're going to stuff these inside the delicata squash. But what I wanted to tell you is I'm going to use the sweet potato, okay, to make this mixture more like a stuffing. Most people would use a grain, okay? I'm using the sweet potato because
So
that's what it.
you're just taking a little slice on.
Yeah, these things were cooked inside of the pressure cooker, which is an Instapot, and I cooked them for 5 minutes. So I put them inside the Instapot with this much water on the bottom with a screen. I'm not sure where it's at, and they're not sitting in the water, so they're sitting on top. So they're basically steamed with the pressure. 5 minutes, natural pressure release, and they come out this soft. You see how soft that is? That's how soft they are. Like pudding in a way. In fact, we make pudding out of these. I make ice cream out of these. We have ice cream. I think we showed you guys the ice cream that we make. So
Yeah,
anyway,
he did that on the last broadcast, and I'll put a link to that in the description as well if people want to see your other recipe demo, and they can see that you made chocolate and ice cream with sweet potatoes, and you can be making that later on today because we're out. We're at ice cream. We're having
ice
an ice
cream.
cream
Yeah,
emergency.
Amy's like, you making ice cream? And I said, I don't think I'm gonna have time to make ice cream, sweetheart. But I'll make ice cream for you later. But it won't have time to
Best.
freeze. But the beauty of what we have is we have the Ninja. What is that, Amy?
Then we have a Ninja Creamy machine.
Creamy. That's it. We have a Ninja Creamy machine. Okay, you see how this is now? It's kind of like a stuffing. Well, it's thick. So I'll take this and I'll taste it a little bit, because if it doesn't taste good at this point, it's not going to taste good in your delicata squash. It's got a nice flavor. Tastes a little watery to me, but I'm going to thicken it up just a little bit more by using this mixture, this kind of Parmesan cheese stuff that I created. In fact, I just made it this morning. I should have waited for you guys to show you how I did it, but it's pretty simple.
We'll have
Anyway,
that
so
recipe, but you maybe next time you'll make it for
well,
us.
I'm making a book, another cookbook. We already have one ebook out. I'm gonna this will be volume 2 to that because that one was made a while ago, and you kind of change and develop, and there's more recipes and things like that that come out. Anyway, so at this point, I'm gonna say that's good. All right. We have our potatoes that we made, the potato eggs. We made the potato eggs. We made the cranberry sauce. These things here, I will sprinkle that mixture, that salt, that Parmesan cheese mixture on them, and I'll put them in the dehydrator, and I'll make them into chips. And so they will be potato skin potato chips. And they come out and they're delicious. They really are. So that's what I do with the potato skin. So it doesn't go to waste. And if I don't do that, I will toss them in with my smoothie in the morning because we have smoothies every day.
Yeah, you
Okay,
really
so
don't
where we
waste
at?
we don't waste any food, and I
No,
think that that's basically the philosophy in our green kitchen. If it looks like it's going south, or if
blend it.
it's left over something, kind of scrap, then it's gonna go in the blender, it's gonna get roasted, it's gonna go in a stew, it's gonna go make, veggie broth. It's not gonna get wasted, or it could go to the dog because the dog is plant-based too,
That's correct.
and he's always looking like, "You're gonna what are you doing with the end of that cucumber? Hey, that's mine."
Okay, so I forgot to start the oven, but 350 on the oven, and you cook these for about a half an hour. And this thing will get nice and soft. Now, you could do it another way. You could probably pop them in the microwave and they'll get soft, but sometimes the microwave dries them out. The other way is to put them inside of the Instapot, and you put them in there for like a minute. That's all it takes under pressure, and then you do a natural pressure release. And these things will, like for me, if I wanted to, I would take these out of the freezer. You can microwave them and heat them up, or you can put them in an Instapot with a little bit of water on that cage, and it'll just defrost them. So all I do is take this now, and I fill the boat up with vegetables and this mixture. Now, because everything was frozen, this mixture was a little watery. But when I put the sweet potatoes in it, it thickened up. So you see, this is a meal all by itself, right there. So Amy and I will probably eat this for dinner tonight, and if not, we'll freeze them and save them for Thanksgiving, which is just next week for us at this time. So right now, these are stuffed with a California blend, which is carrots, carrots, cauliflower, and broccoli. I believe that's all that's in a California blend. Is that not right?
Yep, that's right. And think about this, Green Warriors, if you're going to someone's house for Thanksgiving or for any kind of dinner, you could bring this with you and then just pop it in a microwave and have this for a dish. If you
Absolutely.
wanted to, you can put it in almost any kind of squash. During the Thanksgiving season, they have what's called acorn squash. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it looks like a giant acorn. It's kind of green with some orange, yellowy hues in it. And you could do the same thing with that and cut it in half so that it almost looks like a bowl. And I have a recipe for that on my begreenwithamy.com website. And we know people that have done this and brought this to a Thanksgiving celebration, and it looks so festive. So
Me for one.
you for
Okay,
one, that's
now
right.
another thing I want to point out, if you have any of these potatoes, these new potatoes left over, you can cut them into quarters, all right? And you can, since they're going in the oven, you could actually roast these, and you'll have kind of like potato fries in a way. You know, you want to make sure they're not touching. I always put the skin side down. You know, if you have room on your tray. In this particular case, that's what we're going to do because just because I can. I
Because
mean, there's so
potatoes are good. And tell us about what you have lining this glass baking tray, Rick.
okay. This is a stainless steel tray, uh, baking dish, cookie dish, or whatever. And this is a sill mat. Let me move this. These are sill mats in place of the brown paper that we normally use.
Right. So you could use parchment paper or you could use this silicone mat. And it just depends on what you want to do. When we do use the parchment paper, we try to get the ones that's not.
But since we had these left over, yeah, these are brown, so they're not bleached. And she bought these really cute little things that, so if you wanted to, you say, okay, this is the length I need. This thing slices it, and look at that. It's just a nice, pretty, clean cut. And that'll take that up the space of the sill mats. But the sill mats are so great. You know, I'm hardly ever using what I use this for more so than anything is when I make hamburgers. Well, it's not hamburgers, bean burgers or whatever kind of burgers I make, lentil burgers. When I make the lentil burgers, after I cook them, I'll put them inside of a glass bowl and I'll put the parchment paper on the bottom, and then I'll put the parchment paper between them, and I'll stack them on top of each other, and the paper will stop them from freezing to each other. And that's what I basically use the parchment paper for.
Yeah. Or if we go to bring something to someone's house, then we don't have to worry about having the sill mat to clean up. We can just toss it the parchment paper when it's done. Yeah.
Okay, so
Rick, Mona said, you two are so cute.
with the
I
oven,
didn't hear that,
it's
Mona.
not
I'll have
it's
to
not
tell
up
him.
there yet, but it's close enough.
Yeah. Hey, Rick,
Yes,
Mona said, you two are so cute.
I used to be cute. Now I'm just old.
Oh, you're super cute.
I remember when I was so heavy, I couldn't get my arms around Amy and touch, her back. She couldn't reach around me. I mean, I was big. Anyway, so where are we at? I have.
And then when you lost the weight, we could fit inside of your shirt and I
Oh
could
yeah,
get my arms around you.
she has some nice pictures of that.
Yeah, I'm showing it now.
Oh, are you? Yeah, my daughter just sent me a picture of myself, and I didn't recognize myself. And when I saw the picture, I actually showed it to a friend, and he said, "Who is that?" That's how much weight I've lost. When I do see some old friends back in Kansas City, when I go back, which regrettably is for funerals. Last time we went back, it was for a wedding, which was really nice. The people didn't even recognize me. They didn't know who I was. And I worked with these people day after day, every day, seeing them face to face. Didn't know who I was. Anyway, so we could do the same thing with the zucchinis. You cut the zucchini open, scoop out the seeds, stuff them with the mixture. Let's just show you because I have a little space on that thing. So you try and pick the big zucchinis. If in fact they're already cooked a little bit, it makes it easier, but that's okay. And then normally these are softer. But look at this. You see how this comes out? You don't want to take out too much, you just really want to take out the seeds. And you can use the seeds inside the stuffing with the original mixture because it's all going to cook anyway.
Can you hold that up to the camera?
I will in just a second. Let me. and finish cutting it out. Okay, so here's your boat. You see that? So you got a little vessel now that you can put your stuffing in. So this stuff here, normally I would just throw it in the blender or mash it somehow. But just so that you have an idea, this was the mixture that we had originally. Okay. And we'll just fill that vessel with the cauliflower, potato, carrots. You see that? And that's it. So you can sprinkle it with something, or you can not and wait for another time. In the past, I put a zucchini, a piece of asparagus in the center of this. So when you cut into it, you got a piece of asparagus that goes with it as well. Anyway, so I'm going to stuff this second one, and then I'm going to put it in, and that'll take up all of this mixture that we just did. Now, another thing that I normally do, and I forgot to do it on this particular case, regrettably, and I'm sad that I didn't, because it makes it so much better. I forgot the tomatoes. So I'm going to do it with these. Check this out. The tomatoes, little grape tomatoes, when they get cooked, they become so much more flavorful, and they pop when you bite into them, which is really nice. Right, Amy? Is she still
I was
there?
actually telling one of my clients that the other day because she's making a salad and she had those kind of tomatoes inside the salad and she was trying not to use dressing. So I told her to take those tomatoes and put them in a coffee mug, and put like a silicone topper on top so they didn't splatter, and put it in the microwave for about 30 seconds, and then put those microwaved tomatoes inside of her salad. She could mash them up and then put it over the salad, and that just adds, that's what I like to do, because we have salads every day and we have those tomatoes in our salad, and that's what I like to do to take it up a level.
And they'll pretty much look like that, but cooked when you take them out of the oven and put them on a plate. So they'll look pretty, they'll look festive. The tomatoes add a nice bit of color to it.
That's
so
really
let me just
good.
add this.
I'm getting hungry. It's going to be
I'm
good.
going to add this to my thing.
So Green Warriors, have you seen anything so far that you're thinking about making? And we're going to have the recipes on my website. After the broadcast, we'll be putting them on. Tell me in the comments which one you liked, or if there was more than one.
A lot of times I'll do a before and after, and I would already have these made up. But life has been hectic. So you guys can see this hasn't even been refrigerated yet, and how thick it's gotten. But that's the cranberry sauce. This one's probably cool. Let's try it. I'll tell you what it tastes like. See, I like it with cinnamon. I would add a little cinnamon to it. It tastes really good. It does. It has a nice flavor. It's a little tart, but I believe that's the way it's supposed to be. A little tart. Okay, what are we at, Amy? We're past an hour and change.
We're at, Jess is on, and she said, yum.
Jessie used to be our cranberry maker.
Yeah.
Back in the day. That's when we were using that sweet and low stuff. Ugh.
Yeah, we used to use, before we found this lifestyle, we were doing another one, the altar one that isn't good. And so we were doing a lot of stevia, which we do not recommend.
Oh yeah, stevia.
And Jess said, that's right. Yeah, so that was one of the things that we were making, because it was no sugar, but we still were using stevia, and I don't recommend that. And stevia has a weird taste to it anyway. When you put things like dates and raisins in your food, it tastes so much better. But yeah.
So I'm up to the point where I can make some chips. If you want to see how I make chips, totally up to you. So if you guys want, if you want, raise your
Well,
hand. I don't know
Green
how you do
Warriors,
that,
tell us
but
in the comments. Do you want Rick to make some baked chips? That he's going to make them anyway, but do you want him to show you how he makes the baked chips or not? So tell us in the comments, yes or no.
I'm going to show you anyway. So
He's
if
going to
you're
show.
still on, what the heck?
I asked
Okay.
the Green Warriors what they were liked so far that they were going to try, and Mona said the not deviled potatoes and the cranberries. So, and Roxy said yes, please. So, and Lisa said yes, I'd like to see him make the chips, and WJ said yes, and Chris said potato chips. So,
They're
so
actually
anyway,
corn chips.
we've got votes going on, and it seems like everybody wants to watch you make that. So.
So somebody turned me on to these. They're not organic, but they're thin yellow mission corn tortilla. So it says extra thin. I have this cute little wavy thing that I don't think you can buy anymore, but you could just put them on a regular plate and nuke them in the microwave and cook them like that. So what I do is I put them in the microwave and then I throw them in the dehydrator for a little bit longer, because I've noticed that if I try to totally crisp them up, which you can without burning them inside of the microwave, you really have to keep an eye on them. So I take a lemon, cut it in half, and I coat the top and bottom of the tortilla. Let me get another plate. And you can make these tortillas as well. I have, and they come out absolutely fabulous. But they're a lot thicker for whatever reason. But they're, you know exactly what's in them. And I make them with cornmeal, Ararat root. Is it Ararat? I'm not sure. I have to look at the bags. But so you take all of these and you take the lemon. Lemon gives it a salty kind of flavor. So it kind of tricks your taste buds a little bit. But you can just leave it like this and cut them and nuke them. I go a step further because I make this, I make this mixture, which is kind of like a Parmesan cheese in a way. So this will just give you an idea. I won't go any further at this point so that you pretty much have an understanding. Okay? So you can see that this creates a light dusting. You see the dusting that it's created on my plate? Anyway, so I take the tortilla, which is moist from the lemon, okay, and I'll put a light dusting on the tortilla, and I do both sides. You see that? Can you see that? Okay, and then I do several of them. Again, things are a little time consuming, but healthy sometimes takes a little while, and it's absolutely delicious. Now you don't have to do any of this, and you can just take these, throw them in the oven, and they'll crisp up on their own too. I know people who have made taco shells out of these, where you just drape them over the wire rack so that they hang down like a blanket on a stick, and you put them in the oven and you bake them for about 10 minutes or so. I'm not sure, probably at 350. I'm not sure the length of time. I would have to figure it out. I haven't done it myself. So anyway, you see, so now you got these tortillas that are coated on both sides with a little bit of salt-like flavoring. So kind of like a nacho. Okay? And it's because of the lemon, it just gives you that like, what is that? That's nice. So then I take my knife, I cut it in half, then I cut it in a third, and then I cut it, the same as a tortilla chip or a Dorito type of chip. Okay? Then I have this have this wavy. You see how it's wavy? Can you see that? Um, I'm not sure where I got it from. I think some people used to make bacon on it or something. I don't know. But so I use this, and because it's got air underneath it and air on top of it, it makes it easier. But like I said, you can just we've done it before where it was just on a regular plate, just like this plate here. Okay, and thrown it in the microwave and eaten them right out of the microwave after they cooled down. So I'll take this plate and I'll fill the whole thing up like this with chips. And this should be enough for one person, no problem with whatever you're doing. If you eat more than that, you really shouldn't, though we tend to overdo it because they're so good.
They
I'm
are
guilty.
so good. But like
I'm
you said,
guilty.
if you don't have that particular kind of tray, we have been places where we made this, you made this for people and they didn't have the tray. So we just put
Right,
it on a microwave plate, right?
right, right. So I'll take this full, which was perfect, and I'll put it in the microwave. I'll do it for 3 minutes. Okay, a lot of times because of the moisture of the lemon, every time it's a little different, but it's usually 3 minutes to 3.5 minutes, and then it gets to that point. If you go over the 3.5 minutes, in a lot of cases, I mean, it's only a couple of seconds, and all of a sudden they're brown and some are burnt. And some people like that brown taste of it, you know. Amy says it's not good for you because
Trying to stay away from burnt. Yeah. Hey,
why?
because of the acrylamides. So Beverly is on.
I
Hey,
bet.
Beverly. She said, I use a microwave bacon tray the same way.
Yes.
So she makes chips with a microwave bacon tray. And I think
Oh.
hers probably doesn't have the holes in it like ours
I'm
does.
gonna send you a
Has,
picture of it so that you can show everybody.
yeah, I'll get that.
You know, because
And
this
Joanne
one here,
wanted to know,
I don't think you can buy it anymore.
yeah, you can buy the what Beverly has, but the one that
Right.
we have, you can't find anymore. But the only difference is ours has holes in it. So you could just get one of those things. I'll find it and post a link for it. So Joanne, I wanted to know what your ingredients of your spice combo is.
Okay. Um, I forget. No. Uh, I use Table Tasty. I use Chili 9000. Is that right? Chili 9000? Where are you? Where are you? Trying to find it. There you go. Chili 9000, which is from Penzies. Onion powder, garlic powder, basil, hemp seed, nutritional yeast, and sumac. Not the kind that gives you poison. This is sumac that makes it taste lemony and salty, and a little peppery too. And I just mix them all together. I would turn around and say that depends on how big of a blend you want to make. This particular one that I made this morning, which is, you know, what is this? 1.5 pound thing. Well, that's what it is on that. Well, I'm not sure of how many ounces it is. Everything weighs something different. But so I start off with, I put the hemp seed in, and then I put the garlic powder and the onion powder. So the onion powder and garlic powder are about the same mixture. So 1-to-1 on that. Table Tasty, about 2-to-1 on the one. The sumac is about a half of the garlic. Same thing with the Chili 9000, about half. The nutritional yeast is probably close to 3 times what I would use for garlic. So 3 to the nutritional yeast, 2 to the Table Tasty, and then 1 half. And I think, and I've been putting sage Basil, not as much, maybe, you know, a third, and then I've been putting sage inside of it as well. I'm not sure why I'm using the sage. Somebody told me I should. And
Yeah, well, it's always good to add any kind of spice that you can because they all have different properties. And this is what I went through with Rick because he had such great recipes. And when he made his ebook, his recipe ebook, which the link is going to be in the description, he just sprinkles things and dumps things. So we really worked hard and we got the measurements down. So he's creating another ebook, and this spice blend is going to be in that.
so right now these are a little pliable, but I think when they cool down, they will be ready. But normally what I do, you see how they're starting to turn brown? I don't know if you see that. I don't want them any more than that. So and that was 3 minutes in the microwave. So I take these, I have a little Breville, and I throw them on the dehydrator, and I throw them on the rack, and I throw them in there, and about 10 minutes later, you know, they're crispy. Well, right now, see, this one's already, it's cooling down. Watch, listen. Now, it's still a little rubbery, but it's not quite there yet, but that's how I make chips. So I will throw these inside the Breville real quick. Amy, talk.
We served these actually at our last family gathering, and uh, most of the people that were there are not plant-based, and boy, did those chips go quickly. Rick used those with he made hummus actually, black bean chickpea hummus he likes to make, and they were just grabbing those chips and dipping them in the hummus and eating them, and
Come on,
so
dude.
these are the kinds of things that you can serve to people, your friends and family, that they
They
won't
love
object
them.
to eating, right?
Yeah, they love them. How long you think they've been in here? So the way to test these, okay, I'll tell you how to test them. I take a fork, and if you can stick it into it easily, it's done. So I don't think they're done yet, but I want you to see what I'm talking about. Okay, so you take the fork, and it should penetrate through here easy, and it's not. Okay? The potatoes it would, because I've already cooked the potatoes. So these need about another 20 minutes or so before they're actually ready. You can see it's starting to get brown on the top, so I'm going to lower the rack down a little bit. You can lower the heat too. I mean, they don't have to be on 350, but I had the rack up a little high. So I'm going to put it on the lower rack. So I'm going to do it for 13 more minutes on them, and we check them periodically to make sure they don't burn. Okay. Okay. Anyway, that's where we're at. Anybody want to do anything else? Amy, you good? I hope you guys enjoyed our presentation. Oh, I was potentially going to make that walnut pate stuff. Does anybody want to try that? You want to see that too? It's up to you. I mean, I don't care. I'm going to make it anyway. I can't hear you, Amy.
He's going to make it anyway. He's either going to make it with
I'm
us
going to make
or
it anyway.
after we're done. So if you want him to make the walnut pate, which will go great with those chips, they're a great dip. It's a great dip. It's kind of like chopped, no liver, I think.
Liver.
Yeah. So tell us in the comments if you would like him to do that. If not, we'll sign off, and he's going to make it anyway.
Check this out. I'm just going to keep going. So you remember I said I was going to save that mixture of onions and peppers. So that's probably a third of a bag right there. All right. And then you're supposed to saute these for a little while. And then you're supposed to toast walnuts. So let's get started. And I'll bring the camera over here so you can see it. Come on, baby.
Hey, Rick, Carol Smith said, "You guys are terrific. Need more shows like this." Aw, isn't that sweet?
Well, that's what Amy said. Come on.
Joanne's voting to see the
The
walnut
walnut
pate.
pate.
Sure,
I
love
don't
to see
blame
it.
her. It's really good.
Mona said
Um,
yes.
it is a deviation of someone else's recipe. I want to give them credit. And let me find it because we have the potlucks, and I think either Beverly or Laura made it. I think they both made it. And maybe I think Linda made it too.
Yeah, we have a few different potluck members that, and we're so lucky because they're all great cooks. And so we have a plant-based potluck. And so when they bring their recipes, they bring the actual printed out version of the recipe too, so that we can all see what's in it and recreate it. And
And
Rick
sometimes
just
they leave it behind. No.
yeah, sometimes they leave the leftovers behind and we get to eat them the next day. So, but Rick likes to change up things, and so he'll make recipes that he finds in recipe books or from our plant-based friends, and he usually likes to change it up a little bit, maybe add a little more heat or whatever it is.
Well,
And that's
this
what's great about this, because you can
this
change
one
it up if you want.
this original came from the vegan table. Um, it calls for soy sauce, which I don't have and I don't use. So I'm gonna use miso, table tasty, and lemon in place of the soy sauce. Now I'm not gonna follow this recipe completely because I don't follow. I just dump. But you see, it calls out for a medium onion. I grabbed pepper and onion mixture. You know, it's a thought pattern. To me, a recipe is just a thought pattern. There are people who have to follow a recipe, a tablespoon of this, a half a cup of that, and you know, I every time I try to follow it, it doesn't come out right.
That's
So
me, Green Warriors.
yeah, and I'm not like that. I take it, I look at it, I say, well, I could do this, I could do that. I don't have that. I could use this, and I kind of play with it. And the beauty of eating like this is you can taste it most of the time. You can taste it before it's done, and you can change the flavor profile by adding something. Or if you overdid it with something, you could add a little more of something to dull it down and bring it back into that flavor profile you want. So you want a little sweet, you want a little umami, you want a little sourness, and that gives it a a well-rounded. Wow, the flavors are just kind of stacked on top of each other. That's what I try to create. Anyway, so those things are burning. No, they're not burning, but I have it on high, so I need to. I'm going to move this one over so you can watch what I'm doing on the. What do you think,
Yeah.
Amy?
So while he does that, while Rick moves his cameras around, I'm going to talk to you guys again. So I wanted to show you because we were talking about our plant-based journey, and before we were plant-based, this is kind of what we look like, and we this is our wedding picture a long time ago, and then we had just like a standard American diet. I had diet soda and I was trying really hard. And every year after year, the weight went on. And same thing was happening with Rick. And this is after we started our plant-based journey. So we were heavier than this. Now we were ready to show ourselves in bathing suits, but we had a long way to go. And and Rick weighed over 260 pounds, and his cholesterol and blood pressure, even although he was medicated, they were still high. And he's on all these prescription medications. And year after year, we just were gaining more and more weight. It just wasn't getting better. And so then we learned that we could either fight disease or feed it, depending on what we ate. And so we decided to change our lifestyle. And then, we lost so much weight that we got closer. We were able to finally put our arms around each other again, and it was a wonderful feeling. And that's one of Rick's old shirts that it just didn't fit him anymore, and we showed that by me going inside of it with him. So, and then we wound up renewing our vows, and I was actually able to fit into my original wedding gown, which was so nice. There was so many buttons, and I didn't know if I'd make it in, but I did. And so it was a beautiful feeling. also to
Good.
just renew vows was a nice thing too. So that's not our after picture now, but that's, probably a year or so later, and then we even got better.
Hey, Amy,
So yeah, are you ready,
we,
Rick?
yeah, I want to see if I can see the frying pan.
Okay,
Okay,
you good?
there we go. Okay, so you got all three of us now. So I have I cook mushrooms all the time, and from after the leftover mushrooms, there's always a sauce that's left over. So I kind of use that to help with my cooking in a base in almost everything that I make. So now these things are kind of softened because they are. Now it calls out for, I don't know, 15 mushrooms. I got these shiitakes, so I'm going to use a half a bag. That looks about 15 mushrooms. So, anyway, these are frozen again, so they're gonna wind up. Oops, I shut this off for some reason. So we're gonna let them cook a little
Yeah,
bit.
and you also made the mushroom recipe in the previous recipe demo that you did too. So people will get to see that, and they'll get to see how you made the mushrooms, which gave you the au jus liquid, which is what you're using right.
That's correct. That is correct. Okay, so so it calls out for the onions. It calls out for the mushrooms. I use some lemon instead of the soy sauce, and because I had just used the lemon inside of the other recipe, I'm going to toss this lemon inside of there. Now, one of the beauties, I'm just going to use the whole, whatever's left over from the lemon, the whole lemon. Now, sometimes I saw Amy had interviewed a person. I'm not sure what her name was, Amy, but she just used all of the flesh that's inside of the lemon. But you got to pick out the seeds. So you could take all the flesh that's inside the lemon and put it in as well. So ultimately, this is going to get blended. Sometimes this stuff comes out easy, sometimes it doesn't. Anyway, well, whatever. I don't need to. I thought it might be nice though. And then it calls out for some walnuts that are supposed to be toasted. I don't really follow things too much. So we're gonna put in some walnuts. Okay. So you got mushrooms, onions, walnuts. It calls out for garlic. Now the garlic I have is frozen at this time, so I'm just going to use garlic powder. It probably is not the same, but it'll still give a nice flavor profile. And the stuff that's frozen, I could throw it in as well. I probably should have. I did the last time I made this. Okay, what else does it call for? It calls out for thyme. I don't think I had thyme. And then it calls out for sage, nutritional yeast. So let's see how much of each. Okay, it goes out for 2 tablespoons. Okay, so we'll put a little of that in there. I'm going to put in some sumac because we're replacing the soy. A little bit of sage. Okay, I'm going to add a little more of this because it seems like everything's getting dry. And we still want it a little moist. You can just use water. I don't think it matters because in the original recipe it calls out for oil to prevent the sticking, I'm assuming. We don't use oil. I need something else. What am I looking for?
Joanne said, "I love sumac. Isn't it
Yeah.
great, Joanne?"
Oh yeah, balsamic vinegar.
Yeah, I love it too. It's really great. It's something that the sumac is something that we recently discovered, right, Rick?
Yeah, within the last year or two. Okay, then it calls out for vinegar, balsamic vinegar. It said 2 tablespoons inside of here. So let me lower this down a bit. I have it up too high. So at this point, let's see, I got onion, garlic, mushrooms, no thyme, sage, nutritional yeast, miso, that's what I forgot, walnuts, and fresh ground pepper. I'm not going to use any pepper. So the miso, for the miso, I've been using this mellow white. Can you see that? Yeah, mellow white organic. Oh, that means that it's all going to end soon. So I'll take about a tablespoon of that and I'll toss it in. Okay.
Roxy want to know where you got the frozen mushrooms from.
I will just, you can pick them up almost anywhere, but I got them at Whole Foods. We don't have a Whole Foods near us. Well, kind of. It's about 40 minutes away. So every time I go up to the airport area to pick up my daughter, I stop in the Whole Foods and we stock up on supplies. Kind of like Trader Joe's. I think you get at Trader Joe's. You can buy them in Sprouts. Oh, that's the timer for the other things. You can buy them in Sprouts.
Yeah.
I have not seen them in like Walmart. Maybe Publix, but I'm not, Publix is like a Price Chopper or Winn-Dixie or whatever your specialty, your special
But also,
supermarket is.
you make batch cooked mushrooms and we freeze them.
Yes.
And you did a demo for that the last time you were on. So even if you didn't have those mushrooms, you might have used them as well.
Yes. I actually, I was using the, had portobellas. Remember, we had the portobellas and I had the stumps. I had the stumps. Okay, this is that stuff that I just made. Remember the stuff that I used for the eggs and everything? So I'm going to throw some of that in there because it adds a nice flavor to it. This is going to be like a hummus because it's going to be, okay, so this is it. It's ready at this point. Okay. Now I take this and I put it inside of a food processor and we pulse it so that it turns into a pate. Okay, we probably should use the big food processor, but I have this little one handy at this point. So let's go that route. You still with me, Ames?
I am still with you.
Okay.
This is one of our go-to things. You want to hold that up to the camera when you're ready so that people can see it?
Where are we?
There
Okay.
you go. Yeah.
Okay. This little Ninja, it's a Ninja food processor. It's a tiny little thing. Make sure the blade's in it. We'll scoop some of this stuff inside of it. We're going to do it in I'll just do this once so you can see it because we're going to run out of battery soon. Anyway, it won't run unless the lid's on it. Let me lock out my table. Otherwise, it'll turn on. Okay. Can you see this? Okay. Let's see a little bowl. Okay, you can see that. So what do you think? Can you see that, Ames? You know what? I'll take one of those chips. I'll show you.
I can see it very well. I can see very well. So this is the walnut pate that you made, and you just
So check this out.
okay.
See that? And you can take, it's probably a little hot. Oh, the chips are ready. You hear a crunch? You take that, you put it on a chip, or you put it on, in the last case, they used baguette bread. I loved it because Amy doesn't let me eat it much.
You
Anyway.
know that you can eat it.
Mm-hmm.
I
I
choose
said,
not.
mm, mm. I said much. Mm. This is really good. Has a bit of a lemony flavor because I used quite a bit of lemon. Mm. That's really good. I like food. Anyway, let's put me on the other camera, please. There we go. Anyway, so here's my chip, and uh, and that's a chopped liver. It is called a walnut. What does she call it? She calls it a mushroom walnut pate. And like I said, no soy sauce for me. A little bit of miso and the rest of it. But when I tasted it, I always liked it. And then the first time I followed the recipe, which I guess I didn't follow the recipe good enough, um, I didn't. It didn't turn out right for me. But then someone else brought it again, and I said I gotta make this my own. And lemon, miso, table tasty, and now it's not. You know, if you put them side by side, hers might be better, but I don't really know. This is pretty good. It's definitely a different little bit of different flavor profile. But when you put that in front of people, they just eat it up. I mean, it's really tasty. Sad people, they enjoy it too. See, I didn't say normal. I said sad.
They
Anyway,
don't have they don't have to be sad, but they
I,
sometimes they
they'd
are.
be happy if they ate like us, right?
Yes, they
Thank
would
you,
be.
everybody.
Well, Green Warrior, please click like to show your appreciation for what my hubby Rick shared with us today. He really worked hard and he made a lot of great food, and I hope that you got some good ideas from him. And Rick, you were talking about a recipe book that you made, right? So do
Yeah.
you want to tell us about it?
Um. Well, it's on your website, right?
Yeah, it is.
Why
It's
don't you
on my
tell them about it?
website. You have
It's got a couple of
probably
good recipes in it. I think it's called if you don't like flavor, don't buy this book. I'm not sure.
right. We enjoy these recipes because they're SOS free and they're delicious. And Rick curated the book because he wanted to share the recipes with people like us who want to reduce or eliminate added salt, eliminate oil and unhealthy sweeteners, but not compromise taste. And so
Yeah,
these are the kinds of recipes like what he showed you today. Those are the kinds of things that you would find in the ebook. I'm going to put a link to that in the description if you want to check it out. And it all just, we don't really make that much from it, but it does help support the channel because it does, it costs money to produce the things that we're
people
doing.
donate more than that sometimes. You know, I mean,
Yes,
but it
sometimes they
doesn't have a
don't.
lot of recipes in it. But the
Yeah.
recipes that are in there, I think that every one of them is a winner. At least they are to me because that's why I put them in there. When I purchased books in the past, you know, if I get one or two recipes out of the book, I'm like, I won, and I just spent $30 on the book. But I got one recipe that I'm going to use. It's going to be with me for the rest of my life. So, you know, in this particular case, if you like the flavor profiles of the way that I cook, which I do, of course, you know, you may not. Some people truly love it. Other people, they like, you know, I don't like this. It kind of tastes a little funky in that way or another. But I think it's worth a shot if I was in your shape. And a lot of my recipes Amy has on her website free. So, you
Yeah,
know,
that's true. WJ said, thanks for all the great ideas. And Roxy said, thank you for all the recipes and happy Thanksgiving. And
oh,
Mona said, thank you, Rick and Amy. So we really appreciate that. When you click like, that's your way of applauding. And we appreciate when you do that because it tells other people who are looking around the internet that this is something that they could enjoy too. And so I really want to thank you, Rick, because you shared so many amazing ideas and recipes, helping us navigate the challenge of sticking to a plant-based SOS-free lifestyle during Thanksgiving and every day and holidays. Because you've shown our Green Warriors ideas of what to eat and to serve or to bring and to make the holiday both healthy and joyful. And I can't wait to eat all of these things.
I think the delicata squash is ready. So let me just pull
Oh,
it out
yeah.
real quick and
Let's
taste
see
it,
what it
okay?
looks like.
This is
That'll be
here. I'm gonna
fun
put it here
to see what it looks like.
because it's been a
So
while
he's
now, huh?
gonna Rick's gonna take the delicata squash out of the oven to see it, and, Mona said,
Ah,
"Thank you, Rick and Amy." Joanne
you
said,
see
"Great
that?
ideas, thanks." Chris said, "Thank you," and "Can't Stop Lying." Oh, I love that. Gave
Can
2 thumbs up. "Can't Stop Lying." It reminds me of my daughter Jess when somebody would when she was a little toddler, 2 years old, and somebody would say, "I don't think you're telling the truth," and she'd say, "I'm a lion," and then she'd say, "Roar."
That's cute. That is that.
So she was
Show,
really cute.
show the frying pan. Okay.
Okay, we're gonna
So
show that.
so we're gonna see if it's ready, and if it goes in. Okay, it doesn't go in easy at this point, so it's still not ready. But you can see the juices starting to ooze out. It's getting closer. But a lot of times, like I said, you could cook it ahead of time. Now this one's ready. This one goes through. So the zucchini, it's still firm, but it's ready. This stuff here, it's getting close. You can see it going in, but it still needs a little more. I would say another 15 minutes. But this is what it looks like, and once you can stick your fork in it, it's fine.
Right,
I'm
and
gonna
this is something that you could stop cooking at that point, put
right.
it in the refrigerator or the freezer, and then the next time you take it out, you put it in the oven, and then it would, definitely be cooked and ready to go, so that's another way that you could work around that.
That is absolutely correct, and probably
That's
recommended. Let's
I
see if
learned
I can
so
pick
much
this up.
from Rick.
Oh, I can't get it. Well, I don't.
Are you trying to plate it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Well,
let's see.
these are already, and see that? There we go.
Lovely.
So those are ready. We'll eat them tonight. These are not ready, and neither are the potatoes. The potatoes, normally I just air fry them. Air frying seems to be my go-to instead of baking, but it's all good. All right. Well, there's your picture. Click. All right. I'm gonna put these back in the oven for another 10 minutes, and then we'll freeze them.
So, Rick, what is your final take-home message for our green warriors today?
Well, for me, if you're not eating whole food plant-based, you should, because it's going to make a world of difference in your life. You'll lose weight, you'll feel better. Arthritis and things like that will deteriorate. I mean, I don't think that they'll go away completely. I still have aches and pains, but my aches and pains are nowhere close to what they used to be, and I'm almost 15 years older than what it was. Um, when you're cooking, don't be scared, because usually the foods by themselves just taste good. You know, especially once your palate changes from the ultra processed foods that most people on the SAD diet are used to eating. If you can cut back on dairy, um, or eliminate dairy, that'll be the first thing that I would get rid of, and you'll probably feel better just by getting rid of the cheese and the milk and stuff like that. I used to have sinus infections. They wanted to do a Roto-Rooter job on my nose, and I was getting migraines and stuff. And when I cut out the dairy and the cheese, and I was addicted to cheese, um, they went away. Which to me was amazing. Recently, not recently, about 2 years ago, I was eating a lot of well, wheat products, and it was really wasn't wheat. It was what's that stuff that I liked, Amy?
The
Uh,
the
farro.
the
I like
farro?
the farro, and after I cooked the mushroom stuff, I would cook the farro inside the juices, and I just loved it, and I was eating it. But Amy wasn't eating much of it, and so I was eating all of it, and I was eating pasta and things like that, whole wheat pastry pasta, or I made lasagna with pasta. And anytime I ate the whole wheat or the farro, my knuckles, they hurt, and I didn't realize that that's what was causing it. And when I did like an elimination diet, and I did away with the wheat, type of products, the arthritis that was in my hands went away. I mean, I couldn't bend it. I couldn't knock on a door without having pain. I was actually wearing like bicycle gloves because my knuckles and everything hurt whenever I touched things. And people were, one doctor said I had duplo contracture. What is that?
Oh,
And
Dupuytren contraction.
yeah,
Yeah.
so if you're feeling bad or you have things that are happening, it could be a particular food that you're eating and you don't realize it. We have a friend, he cut out bananas, because he was having some GERD or something, and it helped with the GERD, but he had these moles on his neck and they fell off. And only because he stopped eating bananas with his oatmeal in the morning. So food affects people in different ways. So if you're having issues or you feel inclined, just do an elimination diet, and then if in fact it goes away, start bringing some foods back to figure out which one it is that might be affecting you. But go to a whole
Yeah.
food plant-based diet. Cut out the meats. Cut out the processed foods. I know it takes a bit because it takes you to cook, but we try to make it so that cooking is kind of easy. Now, this was kind of convoluted. I did a lot of things all at one time. That's the way I cook because when I'm in there, I just get things done. But it is pretty simple, and there's a lot of different people you can go to, and a lot of different places you can look, especially since with the internet, the way things are, that you can find quick, easy recipes that are healthy and delicious. You
Yeah.
know, that's
Joanne said, same for my hubby and daughter, had to give up dairy 30 years ago. Yep, elimination diet. So yeah, and sometimes when people go whole food plant-based, it helps them, but sometimes they do need to tweak it a little more because there may be something in there that they still need to look at. And you had fabulous health results. I did too. And that's why we're doing these broadcasts, right, Rick? Because we really want to share it with the world and tell everybody that they can find good health if they just pay attention to what they're eating and eliminate certain things and add other things, and it can be a great thing.
yeah.
And
Once you find the spices that you enjoy, it'll open up a world to you. I mean, we started off eating kind of Mexicanish, and then we went to Indianish, and then we went to a fusion type. This, you could try to recreate the things that you used to eat, and that's all good. But it's easier just to try and make food taste good and eat it, than trying to recreate the lasagna that you used to have, or the mac and cheese that you used to having, or whatever happens to be. But there are people out there that have tweaked those traditional recipes and made them plant-based,
mhm. But if
that
you
you
you can
that
just
you can
find new
follow.
favorites and make new, customs for your
Yes.
family.
Well, for
So
us, we don't have any real true traditions, but we build on them. And if you look at some of our past ones, like with the Thanksgiving, we made this little turkey bird out of a pear with grapes and
yeah, I have a
kiwis
video
and
showing how I
oranges
made
and
that.
stuff. And it looks, makes a beautiful centerpiece, and it's delicious to eat. Kind of like one of those edible
Fruits.
fruit baskets that you get.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Green Warrior, tell us what are you going to remember from today? Because we did a lot, didn't we? You know? And, I'm going to remember to not be afraid to cook.
I want to eat these chips.
Uh-oh.
Mm.
Don't eat them all. I also wanted to thank Jess Test Voice because she did the countdown and she did the promos, and she just really helps get the word out about this show and this broadcast and helps get our message out. And here's another promo that she's done for us. Who is coming up next, Jess Test Voice?
Do you ever wonder how the food you eat impacts your mental health? Join us as Dr. Peter Rogers uncovers the powerful link between nutrition and psychiatric illnesses. Wednesday, November 27th, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, on Be Green with Amy Live.
Yeah, so that was for Dr. Peter Rogers. He's going to be on next, and he's going to be talking about how food and psychiatric illness can. Oh, here comes my
Couldn't hear
hubby.
it, Amy.
Hopefully they did, but I was just repeating it that if they didn't hear it, I'm going to tell them about it. It was for Dr. Rogers, and he is going to be coming on the broadcast because if you ever wondered how the food you eat impacts your mental health, he's going to uncover the powerful link between nutrition and psychiatric illness. And that's going to be Wednesday, November 27th at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, here on Be Green with Amy Live. You may have heard it. I'm not sure, but just in case you didn't, I wanted to put that on there and tell you about that. So here's Rick in my studio. Hi.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah. And hopefully he saved some of that food for me. I'm sure he
Plenty
is.
of food.
But most of all, I want to thank you, Green Warrior, for joining us today. Your engagement and support make these discussions meaningful and impactful. And I really hope that Rick inspired you to take a closer look at your food choices and make positive changes to your health and well-being, because every bite we take, and it can be a delicious bite, it's an opportunity to nourish our bodies and, like Rick and me, become the healthiest versions of ourselves. And please stay tuned for more empowering content. Please subscribe to my channel and share my message with others who can benefit, because together as Green Warriors, we can make a meaningful difference in the world. And as a special thank you to all of you, I am offering you 5 free recipes. So you can go to my website, and it's 5 free recipes at begreenwithamy.com/join, and I will send them to you. And if you want to join me and Rick as we sign off, and you can go ahead and type it in the comments and do it with us. Are you ready, Rick?
Sure.
Okay. So until I see all of you again, remember, be strong, be well, and be green. Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you, Rick.
Sure. Bye, everybody.
Take care, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you again soon.
Looking for really tasty recipes that are SOS free? No sugar, oil, or salt. How can it taste good? Well, if you like flavor, then you'll love this Be Green with Amy recipe ebook. Get your copy today. Click on the link in the show notes. Be strong, be well, and be green.